I'm a little nervous. I'm the hippie. Dr. High is having computer issues, so I'm gonna do this by myself until he gets here. Hi guys, how are you? Welcome in. Good morning. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna change things a little bit. So I've been doing the commercials at the top of the hour and at the bottom of the hour. Timmy talked me into that. Good morning, everybody. Hi guys, how are you? Yeah, so Timmy talked me into that, and so now it's gonna really technically start. Yeah, I can do it. I'll be all right. Yeah. So I need some chat in the crowd though. You guys are gonna have to talk to me because I can't talk to myself the whole time. I'll lose my mind. Oh, anyway, so it'll technically be starting around five after, I guess. Five after until whenever we end. Because I'm gonna be doing the commercials at top of the hour, bottom of the hour, top of the hour, bottom of the hour. Yeah, so right at 10 o'clock, it goes up. Oscar the Ounce, how are you? Ounce, ounce, ounce. Hi, Oscar. How are you? Welcome in. I am the hippie. This is WTHC Radio. You can find us on Live 365 and tune in. We're there all the time. But right now, usually Dr. High is here with me, and we hang out and we answer all sorts of questions about weed. Yes, medicine, marijuana, medical marijuana, psilocybin, stuff like that. I think I see him. Dr. High, are you down there? He's down there. Good morning. Thank God you're here. I was going to have to do this by myself. I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be great. Don't ask no questions.
Well, that's weird.
You look fantastic.
Well, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's
I
okay.
can't connect. I can't stream for some reason.
I probably did it somehow. I fuck shit up, man.
No, it's just telling me I got to give it permission. So somehow it's lost its permissions from Facebook and YouTube.
Right, that's me. I probably did. So.
Oh yeah.
I've been trying to get Pothead in here.
Okay.
And I still can't figure out how to get her in here. So we have our friend Oscar over there. Hi, Oscar. He's a new guy.
Hi, Kelly.
I just started following
Oscar,
him the
how are
other
you?
day.
Oscar,
him and I became friends. Yeah, ounce.
Facebook user. Good morning.
Ounce.
Ounce.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's ounce.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
French. So, Dr. High, I was thinking, since we're in Canada, should we have our broadcasts done twice? You know, we should make them in French too. So I'm going to have you talk in French and I'll talk in English.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I might need to learn some French again soon. I haven't used it in a long time.
You're moving. Is that in French area where you are? Where you're going?
Where I'm at, no, but where I'm going, yes.
Yeah. So yeah,
but we're gonna try and live in the English sector.
As best as close. Yeah, we.
Yeah, my wife's fully bilingual, but she would prefer to work in English.
Absolutely. So. I mean, French is a beautiful language. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, the flow of it and the words, but I don't know what the fuck they're saying.
But the thing is that when you're bilingual, you have to be able to think in both languages, right? So you're not always thinking in English and then translating into French. You have to actually train your brain to switch to thinking in French, and that's not easy to do, right? Both my kids, they could go back and forth in this conversation and go every other sentence in French if you wanted. You know what I mean? Because they can flip-flop their brain like that.
That's amazing. But that was because they were trained as a small child to do it the whole life.
French immersion, right? Because we spoke English at home. We put them in French immersion where 80% of their education throughout the day was in French. But they rotated the courses, right? So math wasn't always taught in French. It was taught 80% of the time in French, 20% of the time in English. So they learned the concepts in both languages for all the different subjects, right? So for them, it's completely natural. My wife moved to Quebec when she was 16. So she completed her high school there. I didn't move to Quebec till I was 25. And I was, I never learned it really. I could understand, like you can talk about me in French or I would get the gist of the conversation by being able to pull out the important words, but I never figured out like the verbs, right? The actions and stuff like that. Only the nouns, pretty much, and to figure everything out just from the nouns.
You could talk trash about me. I wouldn't know a word you're saying.
No. So
now I see the comments. Awesome. I didn't know they
good.
were missing. I didn't know they were missing.
That's good. Did you see the promo this morning?
Yeah, man. I shared it and got a 7-day ban. I shared it so far everywhere. I'm like, I'm not allowed to do nothing for no more days.
You got banned for sharing that?
Oh yeah, I get banned for sharing everything, but I shared a lot. I'm like,
yeah,
I got it for spamming, pretty much. But it's not really. It's not really spamming if all these groups are acceptive of my delivery of stuff, my knowledge.
Like should only be a concern
if I got 40 people that said stop this guy from doing this.
Yeah, or if the admins are constantly declining your posts or whatever the case may be, right? That's the indicator. But if the admins are letting the post go through, then that shouldn't be a problem. And like I said, when I post, like this morning, I posted in probably 115 groups for unlocking the secrets of sleep, right? For the book giveaway this week.
That might be my issue because I probably shared it to another 75, which were probably 25 or 30 of them were same groups that you shared them to. So
maybe
scamming them with the same fucking shit. Dr. High, we gotta change groups. I'll get rid of all the ones you got. Oh my God, we got a question. Type 2.
No, you don't. No, you don't. This.
No, I want to read it. This is important.
Yeah, it's a bullshit person. That's
negatives for herpes. Oh my God, I'm so glad. Thank you.
Herpes.
I'm using this medium to, what does that say? Appreciate Dr.
He says, I tested negative for herpes type 2. I'm using this medium to appreciate Dr. Argbo. I used to have the herpes outbreak around my lips and around my private parts, and the doctors couldn't help me until I came across Dr. Argbo. Well, perhaps you wouldn't have the herpes in those areas if you weren't sleeping with so many people.
We're just making a big comment.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. You're the kind of person that I block right away. You are just the worst kind of person on Facebook. Whatever your link leads to, WhatsApp or whatever, you're a scammer or fraud artist.
I don't know how to block them.
Samantha or Little, whoever the fuck you are, go away. Go bother somebody else. This isn't about this.
They're gone. Take it easy, old man. I don't want you to have a heart attack.
No. I have no patience or time for people like that.
I hear you. It's gonna happen now. That's what being here is for.
And that's the response they're gonna get from me.
Good. I'm okay with that because I'll give them the same one if you want. I don't care. We'll keep them here and we'll just keep calling them a motherfucker.
I got no shame calling somebody out for what they really are when the time is right.
Yeah, he's probably a pedo. Some sort of kid toucher.
He's probably a scammer out of Nigeria, most likely. This is where a lot of this stuff takes place, is in Nigeria. And you can see a lot of times by the way they write, by the way they formulate their sentences.
Yeah.
And the names of the doctors that they use, you know what I mean, are all African style names and stuff. So they're just scammers. That's why they're using the WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff, because it's those conversations are encrypted. And
the toilet seat. Ounce says, Oscar Ounce says he was probably licking the toilet seat.
I agree with you, Oscar.
Oh, Dr. High. Let me ask you a question before we wait. I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say WhatsApp is encrypted. So that's why they want to use that platform, because it avoids detection and the authorities can't backtrace them. And that's the reason they're always after cryptocurrency.
Right.
They're for cryptocurrency if they can get it, because they can't, you know what I mean? It protects them. So don't ever deal with those people. They're never real, no matter what they tell you.
I got a guy yesterday. He said, "Congratulations, I won $1,500. All I have to do is send him $100, and then my Cash App." And he had like videos to verify it. So I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna send you $100." And then I said,
"Morning, Chris."
Anyway, wait, listen to this. Did you look at the saying before our show started? Whatever it said there in the little chat thing. I don't know where it is. It doesn't
This
come up
Badger
here.
Heart Puppetry is what I see.
No, not that thing.
Get your meds in a comfy chair. The show will be starting shortly.
Nope, not that one. The one like when like the introduction to the show. I don't know where it is. I just kind of have to write it every time. It says hanging with DaHippie and Doktor High, and then it has
noticed. I was a bit late today, so I missed the introduction.
Well, I use the AI or GBT chat.
I saw,
and it came out great. I had to change one word because they named the name of a show, and I was like, "That's not a bad name." What do you think of Green RX?
Green RX.
Green RX is in green medicine, you know.
Oh, Green RX.
Yeah, GREEN.
Once again, that has that medical.
Right? Yeah, I figured you were going to say that, and then they came up with another one with Candy Med or something like that. They were like Doktor High and Hippie Candy Med show.
I used to have my little business, Canamed Consulting, and Canamed was where I was doing the doctor-patient consulting and the cannabis coaching, so I got about 5,000 business cards laying around here someplace from that.
That already say. Yeah. So, I have business cards from everything. Oh my God, so many. Yeah.
Oh, good. I got 1,000 Doktor High business cards printed, and then I went ahead and a friend of mine so generously offered to create the Doktor High logo for me. So all the business cards that I got printed are totally off the mark now anyways.
Yeah, they're all, so you have 1,000 of them, but you give those away anyway. You give them with, as long as the phone numbers are the same.
You know, worst comes to worst, you know what they're really good for? You take your scissors and you cut them into little strips, and they're great for making your little cardboard filters for joints.
You know what else they're good for? Toothpicks. When you got a little something caught in your tooth and you need that corner. Yeah, right there, nice done out. Yeah, sweet.
Couple of swipes, right?
Some good quality floss. Stoner floss, we'll call that.
That's it.
So, anybody got any questions for the doc over here? We were supposed to get Carenza up here. I mean, Pothead, but I don't know.
Well, were you able to get a friend request to her or do whatever?
Yeah, we even became friends on like everything, and I told her maybe she needs to follow WTHC radio page, and that's how I can get her.
No, because you just send her the same link like you sent me into her messenger. Now
I do, connected. But when I write her,
just be able to click on the link.
First off, I looked at a video, and I have to look this way to talk to you. Like,
no,
when I'm looking,
no.
Yeah, when I'm on the video. Well, yeah, I try to look straight forward all the time, but every once in a while, when I try to talk to you, I actually have to turn this way. You're over there. Here, you're over here. I don't know. I can't figure it out. And I'm like, Doktor High, over there. But you look like you're here. Anyway, now it's gone. Fuck. Oh, Carenza. Yeah. So when I go to write, like when I go to send it to you, I just write in DAV, and boop, your name pops up with several other DAVs, and then I just click on your name and I pop you in and I send it to you and you're good. Yeah. I go to do that with Carenza. I write KARANZA, whatever, however, and it still doesn't come up.
Do it simple. Go now that you're friends. Go directly to her profile and click message. And that'll take you directly to her messaging. And just put the link right there.
Maybe. I'll try that. I got to do that. I got to do that here on the computer, and that's different. I don't do that here. I do. Hold on.
Just go to her
Facebook.
Yeah, just go to her Facebook profile, and then there'll be a message option.
Can you hear me? Hello? Are you here? Can you still see me?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. See when I hit this message button. Oh, there it is. But it won't let me message. This is me messaging myself here.
No, you have to go to Karenza's profile.
Yeah, but when I hit Messenger, it brought me to. Oh, wait here. Okay. Oh, but I didn't copy the link, dumbass. All right, let me come back here. Hi guys, I'm back. Dr. High, entertain them while I try to figure this shit out.
What do you mean? This is entertainment.
Oh,
What are you talking about? They're being entertained.
So now copy the link, right? And then go back to her.
Yeah, message in.
Paste the link.
And it should work.
Send it to her. And there it is.
Now, if she's aware that the link is there, we'll see if she joins us. It would be interesting because I'm curious to know about.
Oh, and she loves. I figured it out. I think I figured it out. Technology is not my thing, Oscar. Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's a learning curve.
I don't need Mrs. Hippie. Right. I am man. Hear me roar. I figured out how to send an email. Woohoo! I shouldn't have smoked that bowl before we started, Dr.
Yeah, I can do that sometimes. I tell you, when I hit that distillate first thing in the morning, it's
my lungs can't handle it. I got to smoke a bowl before I can even hit the distillate. Yeah, my lung is like, no, the bowl my lung is used to for the last 40 years. The distillate, I hit that thing in the first thing in the morning, my lung goes, swells up to the size of a fucking big ass balloon, and then I'm like,
and then you're stoned as hell.
Yeah, but I'm sweating like a porn star. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like,
hey, you know, I remember I had this guy that used to come to my house, and one day he brings a friend, and he's like, he had never done dabs before, so the guy wanted to try the dabs. So,
see there, even that.
I believe it should be done, right? Low temperature, nice dabs. And the guy does it, and he's like, "No, I want more smoke, you know." Like I see my friend do it. I said, "My friend, how do you do it?" And he said, "I smoke it fucking hot. That thing's almost glowing red when I put my dabs in." And I said, "No, that's crazy." And then his buddy says, "No, I want it like that. I want it hot. I want it hot." So I warned him twice. I said, "No, you don't."
No, you don't.
Like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm going to give you what you want. So I give him a hot dab. Guy, within seconds, the sweat is dripping off the end of his nose.
Yep.
It's dripping off his elbows.
Yep.
He was sweating like crazy.
Been there.
Fucked up. 5 hours later, his buddy calls me. Like they had left by then.
Right.
And his buddy calls me and he's like, "Oh my God, he's so fucking fucked up, still fucked up like that." I said, "Listen, I told him."
But I mean, isn't that good to be that fucked up? Is he fucked up coughing? And his
no, just like just still like
stoned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And his wife started to grow flowers.
Dr. High, you hold this fort down. I'm going to go get my medicine because I want you to look at this little tiny plant right now. It's starting to scare me. I think I got rhododendrons growing or something.
Rhododendrons.
I might have rhododendrons growing.
We'll have a look. More cats can be dangerous. Lose your blood if you're not prepared. That's funny, Oscar. Yeah, so what would you like to know? You're talking about growing cannabis?
You hold this down. I'll be right back, all right?
Yeah.
I'll sit here and pretend like I'm here.
I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with soil and soil conditioning and then go from there? Or
that didn't work.
Do you want to just understand how to crack your seeds, how to which area, because it's such a broad topic, right? Do you know that it's really tough to start, but the best place to start would be with your soil. You want a soil that's not tightly compacted, that contains perlite and vermiculite. So that's where you start. You get a good potting soil with perlite and vermiculite. Depending on how much you want to grow, um, Pro Mix is the perfect starting material. It's used by so many. If you're going in dirt, good morning, Facebook user. If you're going in dirt, most of the big licensed producers in Canada that grow in dirt grow in Pro Mix. So that's a great starting material. If you're growing hydroponically, you'd want to use rock wool. If you're grow indoors, then hydroponic grow isn't such a bad way to go. It's very clean. It's very efficient. Um, so that's always a possibility too. But when you start with your Pro Mix, the soil will be kind of acidic. So you'd want to get a pH balancer to mix with that soil before you put it into the pot, so you can bring the pH to around 6, 5.5 or 6.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in.
Yeah, and then simple. If you're growing from seed, you'd crack your seed inside of paper towels, or you could go 24 hours inside warm water, and then seed goes into the dirt, probably to the depth of your first. Well, for me, it'd be the first knuckle. It might be 2 knuckles on other people, but you'd make a small hole. You could put in something called mycorrhizae, which is a beneficial bacteria that's really good for rooting. So that's what we would use during our. We didn't really grow from seed except the initial plants when we were doing what we call pheno hunting, which is trying to determine which plants out of the same strain or the same group of seeds has the genetic strength, has the best plant characteristics and the hardiest plants, which we will then turn into mother plants for cutting clones.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's not go too far with Tina, because obviously she's just getting started and she can actually only be just right behind me. Tina, it's going to end up having to be an indoor grow unless you live in the tropics, because you're getting a late start if you're ready to start now.
Yeah, if you're like in Southern California or Arizona or Nevada, you can still start now.
Facebook user, whoever that may be, you can grow outside, but it depends. Like we were just saying, it depends on your time zone and where you are and what your weather's like. Right now, it's getting too late to start outdoors. So go ahead, Dr. High. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Oh, it's going to be indoors. Beautiful. Indoors is fantastic.
Indoors is great.
Because
hi, Bailey.
Hi, Bailey. How are you? That way you can go all year round, right? You're not restricted by weather condition. So if you want to have multiple harvests per year, and there's really the potential, if you set your system up properly, to harvest 5 times a year. So you can get 5 harvests a year out of your tents.
Right. Now, let's stop there for a second, because Bailey is also into this now. She's like a seed. She's the one that says she has all the seeds. So Bailey,
she has all the seeds, right?
She has a lot of seeds that she needs to plant. Now, Bailey, you're in California, if I remember correctly. So your weather might be a little better than ours over here on the East Coast. But I don't know if you're going to plan on outdoor or indoor. Dr. High has a company. I don't know the name of it, but there's a company out there where you can buy the whole tent and everything, where you're able to grow. How many you said? 2, 4, or 6?
On Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.com. They have the full kits. They're everything you need for your indoor grow to get started. The light, the fan, the
Is
air.
California safe to grow all year round?
Yeah, but in California, you have to think more about autoflowers because of the light, right? So although California may have the right climate to be able to grow all year long, the light cycle won't be the same necessarily. But the closer you are to the equator, the closer you are to always 12 and 12, right? Daylight hours to nighttime hours.
That's more like Mexico.
yeah, when you're on the equator, the sun comes up at 6 in the morning and it goes down at 6 at night. And it does it 365 days a year, right?
Who wants to know if you need a license to grow? If you're growing like in large quantities, yes, you need a license. If you're growing
it
for
depends on
medical
where you're
use,
located. Where are you located? Are you located in Canada?
is that Bailey again?
Because if you're in Canada, you don't require it. And in many states where recreational cannabis is legal, you are allowed to grow a few plants. You know, like you may have an allotment of 2 plants or 4 plants you're allowed to grow.
Even the recreational states have an amount that you can smoke, you can grow, right? Even the recreational, they say, all right, it's still Bailey. Yeah, so Bailey, I don't know what California is. It might be up to 12 plants or something to that effect.
Might be 25.
It might be that many. I don't know.
Yeah,
but after that, then you might have to look into getting a license and growing, because then you're becoming a distributor of something. But, you know, if you're growing 4 or 5 and you're just taking care of yourself and maybe a couple of your friends who need medicine, then, you know, that you're good.
And if you're growing outdoors, you really want to determine how many plants you're going to grow if you have that allotment, right? Based upon 3 by 3 square foot areas. So you'd want to have like grid out your garden space, your growing space, 3 feet by 3 feet boxes, and you'd want to plant 1 plant in the middle of each of those boxes, because you're really going to require that space for the plants not to interfere with each other outdoors. When you're going indoors inside a tent, you just use different techniques, right, to manipulate plant growth to maximize the space. When you're outdoors, you have to give the plants the space to become maximized. So it's just a little bit different of thought process, right, when you're thinking about planting. Yeah. So basically, when Oscar said, what's that?
I said you got to read what Oscar said when you get a chance.
So you grow six cannabis plants if you're over the age of 21 in California. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so
that's each person per household. So if mom and dad, Bailey's closer to that 21 age, so if mom and dad are also enjoy the plant, I'm not sure, or brothers, as long as they're over the age of 21.
We're gonna open a door for Doggy.
Go for it. Once you can grow 6 per person. So if you have 4 people in the house over 21 who all partake, then you're able to go 6, 12, 18, 24 plants. Oscar, the most value. I agree 100%. Patience. And that's one thing I don't have. So I'm in trouble. I'm already freaking out. Why does this thing not have buds on it, Dr. High?
Well, see, going back to Bailey, right? If I was in California and I got a plant count maximum of 6, I would be an outdoor grower, because with that restricted plant count indoors in a tent, a 6 by 6 foot tent, which you'd want to use for 6 plants, would yield really good harvest, maybe 3 pounds, maybe 4 pounds, because you have restricted space, right? But if you take those 6 plants and you go outdoors and you maximize that full length of time, then you can maybe harvest 3 pounds per plant.
All right. I got to do a commercial, Dr. High, but you can continue to talk to them. We'll be right back. You're hanging. Yeah, I went right through to 420. I changed the commercial times, and I'm doing them at the top and the bottom of the hour to see how it works better. And some parts of it is better, but I messed the 420s now, and it's pissing me off. Anyway, commercial. We'll be right back. You're listening to Hippie and Doktor High on WTHC Radio.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved
Waking up, watch morning carrots.
See his tail.
That's AARP.org.
He's looking for a carrot.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
He's up early today.
He was actually up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Everyone did this.
That's because he slept so much yesterday.
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least
slept
100
until
years
noon.
old. My mom said I must have set
Yeah,
a
he
record.
did.
or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these
Oh,
little
it's
minnows
not
swimming around
funny.
way below us. And then I rescued my little brother
It's a
from an
very big
evil
bunny.
slug king
Big
who was
bunny.
guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then
Are
we
you
all
really?
went out and told stories until it got dark.
Thank you
And
for
the
joining
big dipper
us.
got us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah.
We went to the
That's
forest.
correct, Oscar. The
Not
pot
that
size
far away.
is
Anyone
important
want
in
to come
yours.
this
The
weekend?
roots are the most important part.
Ask your parents
Yeah,
to take you and your
you
friends
really
to the
want
forest
to
this
give
week
your plant
and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than
enough
you think.
space for the roots,
Check out
right? Because as much root
discovertheforest.org.
development as you can
Brought
put
to you by
below
the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Badger Heart Puppetry. Badger
So
Heart.
we'll get to that after the commercial.
Yeah, this Badger Heart one is very loud.
Kick-ass puppets. Contact Sorge at 1-636-234-1535. He has all your puppet needs.
Are you on mushrooms, Bailey? Because it could have been a bunny.
Custom-made puppets. He has puppets off the rack for cheap prices. Contact Sorge today at 1-636-234-1535 or on TikTok or Facebook at Badger Heart Puppetry. He also makes LARPing items too.
Hey, this is Mrs. Hippie. Check out Vern at You Have Me Hooked 23 on Etsy, and You Have Me Hooked over at TikTok. She's amazing. She can make anything.
Can she make me a crystal vagina that doubles as a worry stone?
Oh my God, Hippie, no, but she can crochet anything from blankets to bags, purses, and hats.
And even a pussy?
Cat! A pussy cat. Grab up Vern at You Have Me Hooked 23 on Etsy and You Have Me Hooked on TikTok.
I just want to give a huge shout out to Chuck over at Collins Painting Ltd. You can find them over on Facebook. They're in Ellensville, New York. Wow, what a great team over there. Really amazing and always supporting us here over at WTHC.
WTHC, we are back. And for some reason, I'm very glitchy. Why am I so glitchy?
I don't know.
Stop glitching me.
It's not noticeable on this side.
Oh, it's noticeable on my side. All right. Anyway, we're back. You're hanging with Hippie and Doktor High. Pot size is very important. If I get a dime bag, I am very unhappy. If I get an ounce, I'm much happier.
You want to use a pot that'll take up as much of that floor space inside a tent really as you can, depending on the plants, right? So or the number of plants you're going to do. But the more space you have for the roots, the bigger the plant you can grow above the ground. With cannabis, it's really important that it has a good opportunity to develop a root mass, but you don't want to become bound inside because if it ends up taking up all the space up inside your medium, your growing medium, then it can't grow any further and it becomes what they call root bound. And the plant suffers the consequences of that by not being able to develop to its full potential. So you always want to allow enough room for bigger roots, bigger fruits. You got it, Oscar. 100% right.
Cool.
And,
All right.
And cloth bags are really good for growing. Now they're a lot they're more and more common anymore.
Yeah, those ones
grow
with
bags.
yeah.
And they're good because they allow for oxygen.
What about
through to the roots? Because the roots, if you ever look inside of a pot, you'll notice that the roots concentrate greatly around the outside where they try to expand but get bound up, right? So that's a great place for oxygen to transfer through the bag. Go ahead.
I got a couple questions here, sir.
Yep.
The first one, what about them things that the bags that you would hang and your cherry tomatoes would grow out of them? You know, the ones that you would hang upside down and everything would just grow down instead of up?
Yeah.
What about growing weed in one of those things? Would that be a possibility? I mean, then you're feeding the roots. The roots are right there. Everything else is growing straight down.
I mean, yeah, it would be a possibility. I don't see why it wouldn't be a possibility. I just never envisioned it.
Vision it, sir.
I saw a system, and this is quite some years ago, that was pretty interesting. It was like a barrel that spun around a light in the center, and it was pretty big. Like think of a barrel that's like 5 feet in diameter, 6 feet in diameter. It had a grow light running through the center, and you could plant something like 100 plants inside of this thing, and this barrel continuously turned around the light. And at the bottom, it had a feeding section where the plants would go through and absorb moisture for the roots, and then continue around in the cycle like the hands of a clock. And
How
it was very interesting. So I have to say that there probably is a potential for you to grow cannabis in that same way that you're talking about.
Yeah, what were those things called? Topsy-turvies or something like that.
I don't remember the name of it. I remember it was super expensive.
No, it was like $19.99 on fucking dollar store show or whatever.
I don't know, man. The one I saw was more along the lines of $6,000 or $7,000.
Oh no, I'm talking like this plastic. It was called the trap. Oh, you're talking about your barrel thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about this bag.
Yeah.
The topsy-turvy. So now you put your dirt in there and your soil, and then I guess you shove your plant up in this way, I guess, and then.
Yeah, I don't really see the benefit to it, but
I mean, everything's going to go down now. Your plant's growing upside down. I mean, no,
right.
The bottom is the top. The top is the bottom. It's all backwards.
Right, but you notice the top of a leaf is different on the top than on the bottom.
Speaking of leaves,
there might be a reason for that. So I don't know if growing upside down would be beneficial, because I don't know if the plant will utilize the sun's energy the same way from the bottom of the leaf as it does from the top. So I don't even know if I would bother, because I don't see the benefit, only the downside, right? I don't know what the benefit would be.
I'm going to try it.
Morning, Brian. How are you? I mean, experimentation is fun, right?
Yeah.
So you can always find out. Like, that's how you know, because I don't know, so I can't say, but I don't see where it would be beneficial. So.
Like, I'm experimenting with this rhododendron crossed with marijuana plant that I have going here. Are you ready?
That looks normal. Yeah, that looks normal to me.
They look so round.
A monster. I can almost see two little hairs coming.
Yeah, you should see the trichomes, man. They're nuts.
Oh, man.
I'm ready to grab this thing and smoke it.
You're gonna be burning in no time.
I
Morning,
know.
Jeff. How are you?
I can't afford this shit. I gotta grow that. Grow, baby, grow. Roll it up, right, Ounce? I mean, Oscar, Ounce. Any other questions over there? I didn't even look up stuff today, Dr. High. I was having issues with everything. Carenza still hasn't responded to us. So.
Right.
I know she said she was off today. So
what's up, Tim?
Hi, Tim, the fun guy. How are you?
Well, how would she not be off today? Did she get fired yesterday?
She got a new job. She started yesterday. Got fired. Started at a new place. They're ready. They're hanging. They love us. Nice. They're interested in us. They love her. They're thrilled. They gave her like $3 more an hour than what she was making at the other dump. And that
always frustrated me, right? Because when I moved here last year, the nature of the business that I came here to work in is seasonal. So I figured in the winters I would pick up the winter working in dispensary on the res, because there's like 100 of them.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, man, I took my resume to a lot, and I did not secure a job, which is very strange to me, you know? And I was talking to somebody about it a couple of weeks ago. I was over there doing something, and we were chatting about it. And I said, you know, because he's saying, you just touch about your stuff. And I'm like, yeah, can you believe I applied to like 35 places out here and nobody wanted to give me a job? He's like, that's because you're not family. You're not related to anybody. You know what I mean? He said, it's very family oriented around here. So maybe all the residents are the same.
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
Right? Because it's a different community, and I'm not a part of that community. So, you know, I see the logic in it. I only see it from, yeah, but I can really bring so much cannabis knowledge to your business and really help because that's the one thing when you have the ability to do it, that leads to customer retention. Right? Customers come back. Customers like to shop at the same place over and over again. And the idea is when you've got 100 businesses competing for your money, those businesses better make sure that they're offering something different than the next guy.
Right.
And
right.
just never came to understand that I was what they could offer that was different than the next guy. So,
right.
This is what it is.
You're leaving us, Jeff. Have a great day. Who was in a Facebook? Me, you.
Have a good day, Jeff. Token Tuesday.
Token Tuesday.
Who was in a meeting and missed us? What did I miss?
What did you miss?
What were we talking about?
I don't
I don't know. We're not even sure what we missed. And we've been here.
I may have missed it too.
I had some fun today playing around doing some WTHC promotional videos.
Oh, I love that chick. She's hot. And she's talking about me and you.
Oh, there's a couple more good ones I did too that are coming.
I'm loving it. And I'm working hard. I'm really trying to work hard on getting more advertising on my Instagram about us and the radio show and on the Facebook and the YouTube and the TikTok.
Well, I'll be curious because I just posted today on LinkedIn. Now I have a pretty big community.
Elvis!
And I've been on it for a while. How you doing, Elvis?
Hold on 1 second. I got to talk to Elvis. Elvis, save me a campsite. I'm coming. I think I want to come. I want to be there. All right, go ahead. He's got a festival going. The Pocono Posse's going to be there. I want to be there. I want to show. I want to go camping. I'm going to go and get a campsite and camp for the weekend and party with my friend Elvis.
That'll be fun.
I'm sure he'll be working a lot, but I'll party a lot.
What you do? Is he in the cannabis business?
I going by yourself. Oh my God. DJ Nephew Nick, please stop writing stuff over there.
Why did
I haven't got that, but I did download 3 from the other day, so I'm gonna try it today. I think right after the show. DJ, the fun guy. Oh, and I found it's called FUNGUI, Fun Guy by Muck Sticky. It's a great song for you to open your show with.
All right, so here's a question from Oscar. He says, why do edibles feel different than smoking to a lot of consumers? The simple answer is because smoking bypasses the liver. So it's a different method of absorption. When you smoke or vape, the THC goes between your lungs and directly into your bloodstream. That's why you have rapid onset. And it's just a method that you take it in, right? So it passes the blood-brain barrier much easier when you smoke because the molecule size is extremely small. When you eat cannabis, then it has to be processed through your stomach, and then that goes into the liver, and through that processing, it becomes more of a physical experience than a mental experience. Although you do still get the psychological part of it, the physiological high, the mental high, you get more of a physical high too with eating than you do with smoking. So that's basically the reason that it's different between the two, and the reason it takes much longer for your body to feel the effects, right? Where smoking, your full effect is in place within 10 to 15 minutes. And oftentimes you can feel high before you even finish the joint. Yeah. What's up, Hippie?
Ooh. While we're talking about edibles and that kind of stuff, that reminds me, stop talking about creaming and rubbing yourself.
Well, especially when the message right before is anal. Now we're talking about anal rubs and creams.
So yeah, but let's keep Oscar, stick around because this is going to get kind of interesting because Curly Kell missed our whole segment yesterday on that drops and the stuff. You remember the stuff at her dispensary?
From the dispensary, yeah.
So she would love for us to talk about that again, so that she could, because she wanted to understand how to do it. So I was trying to explain it to
how
her.
to make it like little boxes does, or how to utilize the product.
No, to buy the juice, and I said there's like 6 flavors. Dr. High said, and you need to buy one of them
I think
flavors.
there was 4, but
she wanted to know how much juices. Oh, it might have been 4 flavors. Yeah, whatever. She wanted to know, and I was trying to explain to her, but she's very difficult to discuss things with when she's high. So I explained it and explained it and explained it, and I finally said, "We'll talk about it tomorrow with Dr. High. Let him explain it to you." So good luck.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the first thing, Cal, I'd like to know is when you use edibles, when you normally take edibles, what dose do you take currently that you find works for you? Because that's the first place we need to start.
I can answer for her. She needs a very high tolerance. She's, like she was bitching that the 65 milligram cookie that she ate didn't do dick for her. Didn't do nothing for her.
Right. Yeah,
so this is, but we're now going into the water. Right.
I just kind of need to know where she feels it at, so that I can properly help her find the right dose, right? Because I can't, if I don't know what she's used to now or what works for her now, it's very hard for me to tell you what to try to find the experience, right? Let me ask you this, 200 milligrams. So let's see with Oscar, right? This was a 150 milligram bottle.
Right.
Oscar would really need to use 2/3 of that, or more about, no, I'm sorry, she'd need to use 1/3. He'd need about 50 milligrams nano emulsified to get the same experience as 200 milligrams oil infused or infused into food or gummies or whatever the case may be. So whatever your normal dose is, that might be the easier way to put it, Kelly. If you've ever eaten an edible and known the dose and you found that dose was just the sweet spot for you, divide it by 4, and then take the result of that division and take that number of milligrams in a nano-emulsified preparation, and you should achieve the same effect, and that way you can adjust from there. That's the simple way, I think, to define dosing, and that's for anybody, right? Anybody who uses a nano-emulsified product, that's the way you would calculate the appropriate dose to start, I think, for yourself. So,
wow, dude. Wow. I just had one of them seizure things that I tell you about. Yeah, well, my whole body wasn't moving and my mind was going, but I was stoned out of my fucking gourd.
Yeah, I get those sometimes.
Kind of like a heart attack, it feels like, like you're like, am I gonna have a seizure? What's going? My brain is going.
My whole body just gets this real nice, like
numb.
The head goes, but you get this nice and this warmth that spreads throughout it. And to me, I think of it like plugging in. To me, it feels like the cannabis is plugging into my system. You know what I mean?
I feel as though I'm dying. I don't know.
I don't
my anxiety, but I'm like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. Your whole body is dead. You can't move, and your brain is just going 100 miles an hour. And you're like,
that was my first experience with distillate. It was about an hour and a half where I didn't feel my legs.
Well, I feel everything again. It only lasted about a couple minutes, but a couple seconds, I mean. But
how's it going, Andrew? How you doing today? Yeah, full extract cannabis oil, or FECO, is like wax. It's pretty similar in contents, terpenes and cannabinoids and stuff like that. But it's not about what you're putting in. When you're using FECO or wax, it's easier to calculate dose because a lot of those are tested when you're buying them from a legal distribution outlet. So you're able to see, is it 74% THC? Is it 80% THC? And then you can use those numbers in order to prepare proper dosing. Like for you with a 200 milligram dose, if you're able to get THC distillate or THCA diamonds, and infuse those into oil, then 1 gram would be 4 doses for you in oil. So it makes it very easy, right? Now, when you're dealing with flour, if you don't know the percentage of that flour, you can't even begin to guess. So a 25% flour extracted into butter for you would require approximately 8 grams of flour to achieve your 200 milligram dose.
Why does all my drugs have to have math in it? I had
It's
the
about
first
calculating dosing, and that's what dosing's all about, right? When my wife was going to nursing school, that was the hardest course that she had was the medications course, because it does involve a lot of math to figure out how to do it properly, right? And for me, I really want people to have positive experiences with cannabis, especially when they're venturing into preparations and consuming in ways that they haven't done before or haven't found success with before, or using products they haven't used before. For me, it's important that I guide you properly so that your experience is a positive one and you can move forward with continuing.
Right. Well, I mean, you, my friend, have already helped me so much. Like in the short time that we've been friends, my experience is so much better from all my life. Like all my life, I've been smoking. 40 years in a couple days or a couple weeks.
There's no right or wrong way, right? Whatever you enjoy and whatever works for you is good. But
now I'm taking my time and I'm tasting them. I'm experiencing them differently than what I did before. Before it was just cram that fucking bowl or roll that fucking joint, pass it around, get baked, and have fun and laugh. Now I'm sitting back and I'm enjoying the high. It's different now. I'm mature. I'm a mature.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? If you're a medicinal user, then you need to take your medicine. And if you're a recreational user, I mean, everybody uses cannabis for certain effects, right? Whether it's a recreational effect or a medicinal effect. But there's no reason you shouldn't enjoy the process, even if you're just in it for the high. Right. Why shouldn't you enjoy the trip, right? Why shouldn't you enjoy the journey from start to finish? So the process in between, it's like driving on a smooth highway as opposed to one full of potholes, right? So the experience might as well be enjoyable, and that's what I hope to share with people, ways that they can get the best experience, right? The most positive one, most enjoyable. Because I see cannabis like wines. I don't see it like whiskey or vodka. To me, cannabis is like wine.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do it the same way. I saw it as beer.
Yeah,
and I would just pound it, and now I see it as a fine scotch or a fine whiskey.
Yeah.
I was never one for wine.
Just for using because of all the subtle variations within the potential of the plant and within its flavor profiles and tastes and experiences. There, according to Leafly, there's somewhere upwards close to 3,000 different strains now that are kind of registered, if you want to use that word. But that means that's 3,000 different types of experiences you can potentially have with cannabis. And then it gets exponentially bigger when you start to think about, well, what is this strain like as a rosin? What is this strain like as Rick Simpsonol? What is this strain like as cannabis oil? What's it like?
Or this? When everybody comes over with their medicine and they throw a little bit in together and you got a joint of love.
That's the new 70s key party, eh?
Yeah, well, that's like everybody throw your keys in the bowl, and that's a different type of party, but we'll talk about that later.
It's all about sharing, right?
It's a different show.
It's just a different type of sharing.
That's Da.Hippie and Doktor High late night. We talk about that stuff.
No kidding, right?
Over on Clapper.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a nice thing about using those, Oscar, in your edibles, is it removes the weedy taste. Like if you make cookies from canna butter, they definitely taste like canna butter. I mean, you could really taste it, right? But I'm not against that flavor. I do enjoy a bit of a weedy flavor in something like that. But at the same time, a lot of people don't. And when you start using really what you should do here, because both in your fecal and your wax, you're getting more flavor anyway. But if you go to distillate, if you switch over and start using distillate in your edibles, then you won't have any flavor at all. It'll taste exactly like what you're preparing as far as food is concerned.
Tell him what he could do. He can go to that terp store and buy flavors.
Well, yeah, but if you're using fecal or wax, you're already going to have terpenes there anyway from the nature of the extraction, right? Unless it's RSO. Now, in RSO, a lot of the terpenes evaporate off, right? Because they're volatile at lower temperatures. But with a full extract cannabis oil, it's done under vacuum and cold extraction methods, so it retains a lot of the cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, a lot of the medical properties, medicinal properties are retained in a cold extraction as opposed to a warm one.
All right, I got to pay the bills. We'll be right back. You're hanging with DaHippie and Doktor High on WTHC Radio, live on Live 365, and tune in and over here on Facebook and YouTube. And I want to thank you all.
Hey, Mrs. Hippie, why don't we take a ride to
We'll talk closed loop system shortly. I used to have a pretty big one.
And there's crystals.
Oh.
About 4,000 grams a week through that thing.
That's only on Mondays, Tuesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. Today, I want to go there and pick up all my great finds.
That sounds like a great road trip. That's Bella's Badass Crystals on TikTok and Facebook. But you can also find them on the top of the mountain in Dauphin, PA. They are badass.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now,
Thank you,
when
Chucky.
a teen says something is on fleek,
Much
it's
love.
exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means
This
that
is
something
Hippie was
awesome.
supposed to be working on my bio
Another
thing
one
or
is
whatever you
totes.
called it
It's
last
exactly
night,
like
but I
saying
don't know if she got
totally,
to it.
just shorter. As in,
Oh no, Chucky's
I
making
totes love going
refixing
to the
my
mall,
website.
Becca. Another word you might hear.
What's up,
is
fucker?
jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous.
The
As in,
fucker's here.
Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources
Absolutely,
at aarp.org/caregiving.
Tell us a little about yourself.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Say bye-bye to bottled water. Holistic Health Water has certified medical-grade water ionizers that mix 7 types of water, including healthy alkaline. There's a 5-micron filter that lasts up to a year, and each machine lasts 25 to 30 years. Simply attach to your faucet or install under your sink. Even get a mineral spa unit for your shower. Go to ownyourwater.org to get a free ebook. Plus, pay for any machine in full and get an extra filter free. Change your water and change your life. Ownyourwater.org. I just want to give a huge shout out to Chuck over at Collins Painting LTD. You can find them over on Facebook. They're in Ellensville, New York. Wow, what a great team over there. Really amazing and always supporting us here over at WTHC.
WTHC. Good morning, everybody. It's 11:04 over here on the East Coast. We're hanging with Dr. High and Da.Hippie here. We're hanging out. We're talking medical marijuana and all the goods and everything about it, all the good stuff about it.
Yeah.
So, Oscar says he's enjoying himself. Oscar, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being
Please
here.
make sure you tell your friends, share them out. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 10
And
a.m.
I
till
appreciate
12.
your questions. I love the interaction from you. It's
Absolutely.
fantastic. So, come back anytime. Ask anything you want, anything cannabis related. Because I love talking about it, right? But I just never really know exactly what to talk about because I don't know what people need to hear or what they want to know. So, asking questions is great for the show. So
Even
we
if
love
you
it.
already
Thank
know
you.
the answer, even if you know the answer, if it's something that
just to
people
think it's
might
something
need
other
to
people
know,
want.
if you have
Exactly.
knowledge, that's why I said, tell us about yourself. If you got knowledge, we'd probably have you up on the show, sit and talk with you one day.
Yeah. See, now the closed loop system that Oscar mentions there in the comment.
Yeah.
That is a system that's used for doing extraction by hydrocarbon, which is natural gas from the ground, either butane or propane. That would, am I part of your group, Oscar? What group are you the admin of?
I joined it today or the other day, a couple days ago.
I'm curious whether I'm a member of that.
Him and I became a friend of it. Him and I became friends.
The closed loop system is designed for hydrocarbon extraction via butane or propane. So the result is what you call either BHO or PHO.
Hold on. The Ganji lovers are in the house. Woo, woo. Good morning, Ganji lovers.
So basically, you're either making butane hash oil or propane hash oil, BHO or PHO.
Yeah, buddy.
And the basis of the system is you have a metal pipe, a metal tube that is either usually 4 inches or 6 inches in diameter, and it's been pressure welded. So it's designed to take pressure, right? Because you're going to create pressure inside. So you have valves at the bottom, which you seal off so the valve is closed. And then you put on gaskets and you fit the pipes together and you bolt them together. So you're making like an industrial piece of equipment, right? So it's a piece of like industrial equipment. So once it's all put together, at the top, you have your butane intake. So this is where the butane flows in. So it comes in liquid form from the top and it runs through all the plant material and it starts filling up the tube. Think of it like a jar of pickles. The pickles being the buds and the butane being the brine. So you seal up or you fill this tube with butane.
Right.
So for, I used to have 2.5 pound tubes. So 5 pounds it would hold. We'd use 40 pounds of butane in that tube. So a 20 pound tank, basically.
Right.
So yeah, when I say 40 pounds, I'm thinking of it on the scale. It's actually 20 pounds butane and 20 pounds for the tank.
For the container, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it fills the tube up. We monitor the pressure. There's a pressure gauge on top. I never like to go above 50 PSI, although the pressure weld was good for 400. We like to keep it at 50 to 60 PSI. And then once we achieve that pressure inside the tube, we'd simply lock it off. Right? So we'd hold the pressure inside. We'd let the cannabis sit for not long, 5 minutes or whatever, floating inside of there. And then we would open up the vacuum again, turn on a vacuum pump that would pull a vacuum inside. Well, the vacuum's already there, but it would continue the process to pull the butane back into a pump that would turn it from a vapor back into a liquid and refill the tank. So you open the valve and you can look in the collection pot. It has a glass window, a sight glass like this, and you can see all that beautiful oil coming down. So it's a mix of all the cannabinoids and the butane in a liquid form into this collection chamber. And then once the pressure had come down to 0, we were able to close everything off. And then we would take the collection chamber and put it into warm water. So that warm water would cause the butane to turn back into a gas form because it's heated, right? And once you hit a certain temperature, it becomes a gas again. And we recollect all that gas so we can use it again. And then what's left in the bottom of the collection pot is just oil, pure cannabis oil, beautiful golden oil, which you pour out. Yeah.
No. I mean, it just sounds so beautiful, but it also sounds quite dangerous. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this.
And it is dangerous. You have to really be on your game, right? We had sophisticated sniffers that we used to detect the amount of butane in the air, because butane becomes explosive.
So people with really good noses? What do you mean?
No.
Sophisticated sniffers.
They were $400, look like little walkie-talkies. But they were designed specifically for detecting the amount of butane, the percentage of butane in the air.
So like something the fire department would have for CO, for carbon monoxide or whatever.
Yeah, exactly like that. And we used to run two of them. We'd have one right at the top of the machine where the butane came in, and we'd have one at the bottom of the column where the butane went from the column into collection pot, because those were the two places where we could have a leak, right? So we'd have one in either spot. And I mean, these things were so sensitive. As soon as any butane changed in the air, this thing was given an alarm. And we had a big spark-proof industrial fan in my garage and a vent hose to the outside. So if that ever happened, and I can tell you it only happened twice, they would go off. They would always go off after the extraction, because when you take the collection pot, you can't remove all the butane, because if you do, the oil is too thick for you to
Dr. High, she bought your stuff. You bought your
what
flour.
What did you buy, Tina? I didn't know that you bought anything. Thank you. But I'm really curious. What did you...
Did she buy the flour? She was the one that was talking about buying your flour. The pre-rolls.
I never saw a transaction on my...
Well, you're a busy guy, you know. Flour, see?
You bought it from my website?
From the dispensary?
Really?
Come on, Dr. High. Keep up with stuff here, huh?
I don't usually check it.
Remember the other day you heard cha-ching? Maybe that was her.
Oh, nice.
And she says it's good.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
Very,
thank you so much.
very good.
Hey,
I sent Pothead. I sent you a message in that Discord there. I mean, on that Facebook that you and I were talking on. If you click on that link, it'll bring you here, and then I can bring you up.
I'd love to talk to you about what's going on in New Brunswick.
Yes. But Tina, I want to bring you up too. I mean, I'm sure you're not ready or want to. You're probably at work. You work a lot. You're a worker. But I'm excited to hear about the flour, and I wish Douglas, are you still here, buddy? Because Douglas is concerned about it, and if you're saying it's good, I believe you. Carenza, you told me you were off today. Oh, they're abusing you already. No, they just know a quality salesperson when they see one.
That's right.
Let's fire that other person. Keep her here every day. All right. Well, she's not going to be able to come up then. Great. Okay. I've been excited about this all freaking day. Carenza, I also wanted to talk to you about some other stuff. So, I mean, Pothead. I'm sorry. Pothead, I wanted to talk to you about some other stuff. So later, hit me up or something on that Facebook page or something. Anyway. Back to I saw Christopher said he moved his thermostat. Did you read that?
Yeah. Okay, so you're still well within good range. I wouldn't even worry about that at all, Christopher. That's really kind of perfect. Ideal, actually.
Absolutely, Carenza. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's really good. Really good.
You got to teach me how to say the new name of the shop so I can shout them out. Tell them Carenza is now found at. Oh, Kelly Collins is back. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Kel. Yeah. So, that's a good temperature. Really, it's kind of perfect.
So, Dr. High, you think mine's ready to go into a 5-gallon pot yet?
No,
No, not yet.
no. You'd want to transplant that plant there.
You don't want to look
into
at it
the
again?
next. Into the next. You have two choices, really.
I'm just kidding. I know.
1 gallon pot first. When that plant hits about 4 to 5 inches,
right,
into a 1 gallon, and then when it hits 12 inches, into a 5.
Right, I got you.
That would be the.
I was just teasing. I know I can't put it in there yet.
So Oscar's talking about open blasting, which is what most home growers do unless they produce enough to contract with a processor. Yes, I started open blasting. Number one, because the equipment that I had was worth about 40 grand. So it's very expensive, a closed loop system. And you have two types of closed loop. You have active and you have passive. Now, we used an active closed loop system, which meant we had an additional couple of $1,000s in recovery pumps. We didn't use dry ice, and because you can accomplish the same thing by using dry ice and a water circulator, a hot water circulator. But I didn't do that at the time. If I was now producing via closed loop, I would use a passive system, so we could avoid the pump oils that can have a potential of leaching into your butane through recovery. And if it goes into your butane, it ends up in your final product. So I would go to a more to a passive system now. But open blasting is basically the process of taking a tube that's designed for this process. You can get them in stainless steel, you can get them in glass, or you can get them in plastic. I personally wouldn't use plastic. I would use stainless steel or glass. Basically, it's a tube that's open on one end, and the top is sealed with just a small pinhole, a hole big enough to insert the tip of a can of butane. So you
or my penis,
or your penis, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
The puppet, yeah,
exactly. With room to spare.
With room to spare, yeah. There's nothing down here. It's a mystery.
You can just call it Fifi.
It's a mystery. I thought I had a pubic hair until I started peeing out of it.
So basically what you do is you pack that tube full of cannabis, and at the open end on the bottom, you mount a screen. So I used to use coffee filter first, and then the 25 micron screens on the bottom. You could use 52, but I used to like 25. I was always looking for the purest extraction. And you simply basically take a Pyrex dish. You need two Pyrex dishes. You need a larger one and a smaller
Pyrex Slim. Pyrex Slim.
Pyrex.
Dumbass.
Because you're going to be dealing with extremely cold temperatures. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a big Pyrex and you're going to put some warm water in there or hot water in there. You're going to sit the smaller Pyrex inside the large Pyrex so it's floating in the warm water. Then you take your extraction tube over top of the Pyrex, insert the can of butane, and release the butane through the tube. You need to use 1 can of butane for every ounce of cannabis in the tube to achieve a full extraction. If you're doing this sort of thing, it should be done absolutely outdoors. It should never, ever be done indoors. It should be done outdoors, and I would suggest doing it on the top of a picnic table. So using a picnic table or a table out in the yard as your support, a place that's higher than the ground level, because the butane is heavier than air. So as it evaporates off the product, it's going to fall lower. If you're got your pot on the ground, then all that butane is going to collect around it, a bigger chance of spark and flame hazard. So by having it elevated, as the heavier butane comes off the tabletop or through the gaps in the top of the picnic table, there's airflow underneath that'll disperse it, and it keeps your environment much safer. Yeah, go ahead.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
Now, this sounds a little more like something that I might be interested in doing at home. Not that I'm going to, because I have people. I got people. But anyway, that being said, should I do this with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth?
No, you're doing something flammable.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Remember the story I was telling? I just wanted to make sure.
No spark, no open flame,
some of our slower friends out there, I just want to make sure that they don't do it with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. All right. Then
an open, well-ventilated area. That's what you have to have.
Right. Now, my next question, do you remember the story I was telling you about my puppet friend who was a firefighter and he was working at a dispensary and it exploded?
I do kind of remember, but were they making
it was a butane thing that they were doing, and it seemed to be they were indoors. It was at a dispensary. I don't remember what state, but
if you're going to extract indoors, it needs to be done in a C1D1 room, which is a room specifically designed to be spark proof and explosion proof, right? So if an explosion occurs within that space, it'll stay contained. A lot of times they'll use things that are like shipping containers, reinforced shipping stuff to build C1D1 rooms. But you have to have spark proof, you got to have ventilation, you have to have a lot of factors there. So if you're extracting indoors, that's what you need. When I was extracting in the garage, I put steel plate against the walls that face the inside of the house. Just in case there's ever explosion. What guy?
It's 420. Oh. Happy 420, everybody! I just looked up there and I was like, oh, it's 420.
You got it.
Smoke some pot. Let's smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Come on, everybody, let's smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Come on, everybody, let's smoke some.
Come on, everybody, let's smoke some pot. Because you know that I got a big bag and I want to get you higher. So let me bump a paper and I'll roll the fucking hootie mac and we'll just smoke until we cannot feel our fingers. I'm smelling like a cat pissed on my hands and I just wish I was in Amsterdam so I could peacefully smoke some pot. Hey, Mr. President, more than half your residents smoke pot. You should increase the tolerance because we just want to sit around the house and watch TV and know that we are free. Let's smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Come on, everybody, let's smoke some pot. Smoke some pot.
I don't know why it's fucking glitching like that. It's pissing me off.
I'm here to flip the switch, make all you geezers twitch, so I can be myself and not be Uncle Sam's bitch. P-O-C-M-U-S-I-C is my J-O-B, and I represent the folks who like to smoke weed, and like me, they believe that we are not truly free. So I'm being funny, I don't hurt anyone. I'm making jokes while ganja smoke's not doing shit but having fun. If you don't like the way I sing or make fun of the clothes I wear, I don't give a shit. Now let's smoke some pot. Smoke some pot. Smoke some
Come on, dance, man. You're supposed to dance with me.
I don't dance.
I don't either. But how does this not want to make you want to dance?
Well, I'm dancing in my mind.
All right, good. All right, I'll take it. I'll allow it.
Perfect.
I'm only dancing with my arms, so don't let me brag too much. WTHC, that's our man, Muck Sticky. Come on over and hang out with us on our Discord. We hang out over at Muck Sticky's Discord. He made a room for us, and we get to hang out with him every day. He comes in, he hangs out with us on WTHC Radio. So pick us up, follow us, get us on the Discord over there. Dr. High, let's keep it going, man. It's been a great show. We got lots of questions. Why you call me lame, bitch?
Yeah.
Come down there.
But that's
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't produce enough, like for every run that I put through the machine, we're putting in, if it was full bud, if we hadn't ground the product first or using trim, it'd be 3 to 3.5 pounds, and ground product or trim, we could pack close to 5. So yeah, you do need to do some volume. I was extracting probably 40 plus pounds a week when I had that machine up in the neighborhood around 4,000 plus grams of shatter every week. And the problem is when you're using a closed loop system, you also have to have degassing ovens.
Oh,
you know,
she called you lame. She didn't call us lame.
I had 3 degassing ovens, 2 from Across International and 1 from Best Value Vax, that had 2 of them had 6 trays and 1 of them had 4 trays that were 120 grams a tray when they were full. So, but it's a really cool process because at first, when you first degas, so after you've poured directly from your collection pot and now you're in the oven, you can only do 1 tray at a time because it pulls up like a big brain, right? When you first, you keep the temperature right in the mid to high 90-degree range inside the oven.
Oscar asks, purge oven or vacuum oven?
Vacuum oven, which is the same. A purge oven and a vacuum oven is the same idea.
Same
thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Is that like a convection oven?
No, it's a degassing oven. It's very specific for what it's being used for.
And that's why you say $40,000 equipment and shit.
Yeah, well, each oven was in the, I think my Best Value Vax oven was in the 2,500 to 3,000 range, and my Cross Internationals were both $4,000 a piece. So they're expensive, but they did the job, right? And basically, when you go in initially, your oil has still got a fair amount of butane in it, right? Because it's directly from the collection pot. So as you start to pull the vacuum, because you control it, right? You have the vacuum pump running, and then you have the valve. So you slowly open the valve, and as you do, as the vacuum starts to pull inside the chamber, your canvas oil, your extraction starts to blow up like a brain, like a big balloon. Like it's so, I love to watch it, but it just starts to puff up and puff up and puff up. And you come to a point where if you keep pulling the vacuum, you're going to stick all the oil to the inside. It's going to stick to everything, right? Because it's going to touch the walls. It's going to touch everything. So you have to, you play with your gas or your vacuum setting. So you're always on the knob, right? During the initial pull.
Up and down, letting it get big and then small.
Yeah, as soon as it gets big, then you start breaking the vacuum, right? So it comes back down, and then you pull it again, up and then down, and up and then down, and up and then down, and then eventually it won't rise.
Get big anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you'll start to see the sheet start to get a little hole.
Fucking with a loaf of bread. Whoop, it'll get big, and then you let it go down. You get it big.
And then once you get it to that point, you can put that tray at the bottom of the oven and start to pull the next one. But that was one of the reasons I had multiple ovens, right? Because you can't really pull what we used to call pull-in muffins. We used to call them muffins, but you can't really pull them when you got other trays in there because it'll stick to the bottom of the tray. It'll stick to everything. It just will not come off afterwards either. I used to buy acetone.
I got those.
99.9 isopropyl alcohol and acetone just to get stuff clean in there because that's how sticky it is when it's in its first.
I got
fresh.
those little things that won't come off. I call them will nots. They're little balls of shit that cling to my ass and will not come off. Yeah. Little will nots.
Now, when you're talking about being in Muck's hammock, are you talking about Muck's banana hammock or just a hammock that
no, his
what
hammock.
are we discussing?
We've taken over his Discord and we live there now. And she keeps calling it the shed, but I've been thinking about it. And he kind of likes us, so I think he's allowed us into the guest house. And we're in Muck's guest house on his property now, and we kind of hang out there on Discord. And you were in the hammock, she said. You were just chilling in the hammock, not really dancing.
Oh, nice.
Yes, will nots. They're little balls of shit that cling to your ass and will not come off.
Will not come off.
Yeah, I got those.
That's for sure. But you know, I used to
Otherwise known as
love that
dinkleberries.
process, eh?
Huh?
I used to love that process. The initial degassing of.
Oh, it sounds so interesting, like going to the chocolate factory and watching them make chocolate at the chocolate factory. I would love to be there and watch it, but I think I would run when I see stuff that's scary, and I'd be like, no, I'm going to hide over here in the corner and hope that nobody blows up.
It was a little, like, initially when I first started running that system, because I went from open blasting, like Oscar was talking about earlier, which was, reasonably safe because I'm got enough common sense and I practice good practices, right? To running this bomb in my garage, because that's what it could be. You know what I mean? Like, done improperly, that could have been a big bomb, and I had kids.
Well, I told you about that guy.
And you know what I mean? Like, it was a little bit gnarly in the beginning, but I knew somebody who'd been running this equipment for a long time, super smart person, high pressure welding certificate. You know what I mean? So they were really familiar with HVAC, gas recovery, and stuff like that, and pressure work. So they actually became my partner in the process because he had product to extract, but no equipment to extract it with. I had the equipment and product to extract. So he
sounds like a dream made in heaven.
Yeah. I learned everything from working with him, right? I learned all the best practices and how to do things. I learned that you want to use brass nuts instead of stainless steel nuts. You needed certain special tapes for the gases because we tape the joints, right? Right. So that the gas couldn't escape. I learned so many things that I wouldn't have known had I not worked with him. And I don't think if I hadn't worked with him, I don't think I would have taken the risk, right? Without somebody that I felt was competent enough to perform these activities with this type of equipment.
Absolutely.
Well,
but you would think that in a dispensary, everything would be pretty much done properly. And that's what scares me, is that dude was working in a dispensary. Now, the other dude may have been in another room, like you said, a pressure or whatever, a cold room or whatever. But boom. And he had to run in, and he was a firefighter when he wasn't doing the the dispensary stuff.
Yeah.
So he went running in and saved this guy, pulled him out of a flaming room and brought him and put him out. And it was very bad. And
I've seen some dumb shit on YouTube. I've seen guys take the collection pot and trying to get every little last bit out of there, use a torch like you use for dabs, and heat the bottom of the collection pot with a torch when you got open butane in the environment, right? Set themselves on fire doing it. Like, I've seen there are some people out there that do not exercise common sense, do not put.
I got to run a commercial, but we'll be right back. You're hanging with DaHippie and Doktor High on WTHC Radio. We're here every day, 10 a.m. to noon. Well, I'm here for fucking ever. But
thank you,
he's
Oscar.
here every day, 10 a.m. to noon.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver.
He's getting a head start, Curly Kel.
So what are you going to do?
Is it your anniversary you're hanging with DaHippie?
Either emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy.
It's going to be our anniversary soon.
Don't forget about the pharmacy.
Oh, it just passed mine 1 year anniversary.
That's what caregivers do.
I'm married for a year now.
Give up. Don't ever give up.
Nice.
This is your time to show the world your family.
Hey, Oscar.
You're tougher than tough.
I'm knowledgeable too, bro.
I'm the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Fuck.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides
you
need at AARP.org.
You smoked you too much? Uh-oh, DJ Nephew Nick.
Public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick, and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry.
You guys can always find these. We have about 40 of them. I don't even know how many are up over on Spotify. It's WTHC Radio, video, and video podcasts over there. So if you want to catch old shows, they're there. You can also find old shows on our YouTube and all over the place on Facebook. Good morning. The beautiful Lori is here. Good morning, Lori. How are you, sweetie? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun.
I hope you're feeling
These
well.
children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry.
So nice to have all you guys here. Please share, like, do all that shit you're supposed to do. Subscribe. If you have a YouTube page, please go over and follow us on YouTube because we're trying to get to 1 million. We're very, very close. I think we're at 83.
Badger Heart Puppetry. If you need some kick-ass puppets, contact Forge at 1-636-234.
Sarah in the house. I'm doing great, Sarah. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Build puppets.
Where's the dude? Where's the man? The myth, the legend, Van.
Cheap prices.
Lori.
Contact Forge today at 1-636-234.
Lori's blind.
We're on TikTok or Facebook at Badger Heart Puppetry. He also makes LARPing items too.
Is a mini penny just one toe, Lori? When you get a mini penny, do they just do one toe, or is it just a big toe?
On Etsy, and you have me hooked over at TikTok.
Manny Petty.
She's amazing. She can make anything.
She made me a crystal vagina that doubles as a worry stone.
Oh my God, Hippie, no, but she can
let him sleep. He
crochet
works hard.
anything, from blankets to bags, purses, and hats,
and even a pussy
cat. A pussy cat. Grab up Fern
On
at
Hippie.
You Have Me Hooked 23 on Etsy, and You Have Me Hooked on TikTok.
WTHC, you're back, and I'm always looking for a crystal vagina. So that doubles as a worry stone. So if you know anybody that sells those, please let me know. Anyway, that being said, Mom got a deluxe pedicure. Great.
That's all the toes.
Barbara Ann. All right, so Chlorine has a question for you. Did you see it?
I saw that. I did. So
that's kind of where I'm at, like I don't know if I'm gonna have the cash for a tent. I gotta get, a GoFundMe going over here. But
yes. The short answer is yes, you can grow inside without a tent. It's just a little more challenging because the tent allows you to create an independent environment for the plant's development and growth, right? So inside the tent, you can create your own little ecosystem, controlling temperature, air movement, humidity, things like that can be done inside the tent much easier than it can be done outside the tent. Also inside the tent, you can completely control your light and dark cycles because when the tent is sealed, it won't allow any light in. And of course, when the lights are on, the lights are on. It's much more difficult to do that in a room in your house without doing some adequate preparation for the room. You'd want to cover your floor in a moisture barrier for sure, unless you're on a concrete floor. So if you're in the basement.
Can I stop you right there for a second, Dr. High?
Yep.
You look around my room. Is this dark enough or is this too light? Like, would this be all right for
as little as 4 watts of light can interrupt the plant's dark cycle.
Oh, man, so I got to work
very
dark if I'm gonna
light.
grow it in here.
We were so serious about that there were times that you should inspect your crop in the dark.
What's the longest amount of time that you have to have it dark and dark? Like dark in a day? Is it 12 hours a day?
During veg, in your veg cycle, you want to be 6 hours dark, 18 hours light. And then during your flowering cycle, you have to be at 12 and 12.
So 12 hours of
equal
dark.
Light. Yeah. And then when we wanted to induce flower, when we wanted to induce our flower, when we wanted to switch the plants, we would seal the room for 36 hours in darkness. So we'd give it a day and a half full dark, no light at all for a day and a half, and then go to the 12 and 12 light cycle. That give the plants that light shock. And,
Hi, Crystal.
Told that it was time to start to to go into the flowering phase, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Crystal.
I
How are
didn't
you?
mean to get you off chlorine. Go back to chlorine because that was an important subject. Yeah, I apologize.
You need to do a couple of things. You want to try and create as much of a closed environment as possible. So inside a closet, you can even use an old refrigerator. I've seen people grow in old refrigerators where they strip out all the stuff inside, mount a light on top, put some holes in the side for cross ventilation. And so there are a lot of ways you can create your own little environment. But inside a room in your house, and of course, it depends on how many plants you want to grow too. If you want to grow one plant, a closet's sufficient. If you want to grow 15 plants or 20 plants, you'll need a room that's 12 by 12, right? And then when we get into that sort of thing, there's so many different ways you can go. You can go pots on the ground. You can go ebb and flow tables where you can do 55 plants per table. I mean, there's so many different ways to go.
Or in a bank, in a vault.
Yeah, it's hard to tell you specifically what you would need to do. I need to see the room. I need to understand the dimensions. I need to understand your goals and objectives. And then once I would understand all that information, then I could proceed with helping you design the room, meet the right requirements, get the right type of lighting for the space. Now that when you're growing in your house, you know, it used to be everything was metal halide and high pressure sodium, right? Metal halide in your veg, high pressure sodium in your flower, switching the bulbs. But these bulbs create a lot of heat. So you need to air condition the space when you're using those sort of things. So it's much more involved, right? Now with LED lights and the quality of the LED lights, you have a much greater opportunity to control your environment without the expense of the air conditioning, because air conditioning is expensive, whether it's a stand-up unit that you have to put into the room, whether it's a standalone unit. If you're doing a big enough grow, it costs money, a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? And cost is everything. That's why people choose to grow at home. A lot of the times they want to control the quality and they want to control the cost. Those are the two reasons that
Your grower.
Yeah. Or you do it for your love of the genetic and the variation, and you know
Or
what I
your
mean?
love of gardening.
Yeah, I mean there could be a lot of reasons, but the short answer to your question is absolutely yes, you can. It just has a greater
we're here for
requirement.
you.
It may actually cost you more money depending on the size of the grow you want to do, because I know you can get grow tents fully equipped in a package, 10 foot by 10 foot or 12 foot by 12 foot for $1,000.
Thank
You know
you,
what I mean?
thank you,
$1,200.
thank you so much, Crystal.
So you
We
can
love you.
go-
Thank you.
You can go pretty big.
Have a
with
great
that.
day. Stay lifted.
Is Crystal leaving? She's got to go. Have a good day, Crystal.
She can't
Thanks for
stay
stopping
long.
in.
She just
Have a
stopped
great
in.
day. Give my best to Master Rochi and Queen Kate. I sent Kate a message yesterday. I said that I missed them and I'd love to come back and visit.
I watched the show last night, parts of it. I jumped in and out a couple times. It was a good show. The music was freaking me out a little bit, but it's okay.
So I see something that Lori's just said here about using distilled water.
You can never trust what Lori says.
Well, I just want to address that for a second.
I'm just kidding. I love Lori.
Distilled water has been stripped of most of its most of its minerals and heavy metals and things like that, things that the plant need to grow. So distilled water, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that come out of it. Magnesium, phosphorus. There's a lot of things in water that
Chlorine,
right? Chlorine's not necessarily good for the plant
toothpaste. What is it
but-
called? Colgate.
Yeah, distilled water is not going to be good for your plant unless you're using distilled water as the base for putting in your nutrients. But I would suggest that you just use regular tap water and take that water 24 hours before you intend to use it and just let it sit, because anything that they put in at the treatment plant mostly will evaporate over that first 24 hours, and the water will have a chance to be better for your plants, and then go ahead and put in your nutrients. But I would move away from distilled water because that's not giving your plant any kind of nutritional value at all. No metals, no nothing. So, yeah, that's just my take on distilled water for your cannabis plant. Are you playing a violin?
Me? No, I was showing Lori ownyourwater.net.
Okay.
She said her water is bad. She has bad water, so it's I mean, well, bad water is better than distilled water, no matter what. I mean,
Yeah.
bad is it like coming out brown and like Flint, Michigan shit, or
Even
you're
then,
talking?
even then, your plant won't care.
Yeah, it's still getting the iron and the stuff that it
Yeah.
needs. It'll flush out the other shit that it don't want. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely, you shouldn't be drinking distilled water. Distilled water is very bad to drink because it.
Well, Corrine, where are you in the process? How far along are you in the process? That's what I was going to say. We're here to help you. We're here every day, so we can work through it. You can send Dr. High pictures or me pictures, and then I could share them up here, and I should be able to figure out how to put them up here, and we can look at them.
And absolutely, a fan is a great thing to have in the garden for multiple reasons. Number one, it provides air movement, which the plants enjoy. It circulates the air. It helps to redistribute the heat so that you try to remove hot spots and cold spots from the environment. It helps keep the temperature at a fairly even and consistent way. But also, it's good for stressing the plants. You don't want the plant to be bending in half like it's in a hurricane, but to have the plant swaying back and forth with the oscillating air from a fan, it helps build strength into the plant. It provides just the right kind of stress for it to be hardy and produce under optimal conditions. Really, when you grow indoors, you're trying to replicate nature. That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to replicate a natural environment for the plant to grow, but you're trying to optimize the conditions so that it always is in perfect weather. So you don't have nights at 50 degrees and days at 85. So you don't have 3 days of
104 and nights at 38.
Yeah, so really what you're trying to do in an indoor grow is recreate the absolute perfect environment for a cannabis plant to thrive.
So how come back in the day they would put like aluminum foil around the room or put it in a box?
Reflectivity. That's for reflectivity.
Do we have to do that at some point throughout our grow?
No, you just paint your walls a flat white. So paint the walls in your grow space just a flat white. No, inside your tent, it's going to be Mylar lined. It's going to have a reflective surface inside the tent.
All right, so this is if you're in a room and you're doing it. You don't have to put aluminum foil all around your room.
Yeah, no. If you're growing without a tent inside a room, then for the best light reflectivity, you want to have flat white walls. And the idea is that the lights come from the top, but there are going to be leaves that will pull light from the sides too, right? So when the light comes down in this prism shape, flat white or the Mylar they used to use allows the light to bounce back in. So it provides more light to the plant.
All different angles instead of
reflective light and stuff. So, some places
very interesting. I mean, I knew it from the old school guys. I don't know what they do nowadays. I knew a dude that used to grow in a particular area where it may or may not have been legal. And he had a shed, and his shed was like aluminum foil on the inside. And he was growing. He had different phases, plants from tiny little, like my little fella over here, all the way up to 3 or 4 feet, in this room.
Yeah. Oh, it's my pleasure, Corrine. That's exactly why I'm here. That's exactly what I hope this show is going to be able to do.
That's what it's all about,
to provide them with the information they need to be successful with cannabis, no matter how they choose to use it, whether they want to cultivate it, use it as medicine, use it recreationally, extract it. Just here to help people
turn it into carts,
understand the process, and find the confidence to
explore. Overall quality of life. He's all about quality of life, and he's here to help us
100%.
achieve it and achieve the flavors. Man, since I started listening to this dude, the flavors of my weed are just so much better. I never experienced it until recently, and I said, wow, if you actually, even doing bong hits now, I don't put, I used to pack that bong and jam it filled. Now I take like a tiny little leaf or two, throw it in there, and I take my time and I light it and I hit it and I get a decent little hit, and I can taste the flavonoids and the cannabinoids,
the terpenes,
the terpenes, and all that good shit, man. And I don't go through my weed as much, and I am enjoying it, and I'm still getting stoned. I'm still getting stoned. It doesn't matter. So anyway, we got about 10 minutes till I got to do another commercial. What's your plan today, so we can figure that out?
I'll stick around till about 12:15.
Okay.
Part of the reason I was late today because I'm trying to go to
a computer store.
No, make the canvases, turn the art that I have into canvas, but I have to remanipulate the files to get the correct sizing for this platform.
Yeah. All right, you got a bunch of reading over there.
I crystals on your leaves already. That's nice. Distilled water, yeah, but chlorine evaporates. So if you were to take a larger container than you use, let's say if you're feeding your plants, half a gallon of water a day or a gallon of water a day, get yourself a 5-gallon bucket. Put the water into that 5-gallon bucket and let it sit for a minimum of 24 hours before you use it for your plants, because that chlorine will evaporate out of the water. Brita filtered water is not too bad. That takes out more solid particulates, so it's okay, because distilled water is devoid of everything. It's been distilled, so it's basically been boiled, and then the steam is recaptured to
Sarah, you can get the one that says the WTHC Radio Army. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Water. So basically it's purified water, but it's not good for us to drink it because it will actually pull the minerals in that from our bodies. So for the plants, I don't use distilled water. I've never used distilled water. We just simply use that evaporation time to control what's put in at the treatment center, and then go from there. Because the fluoride will evaporate too. So Oscar was saying he did an experiment with side lighting. Yeah, it will improve yield because you're actually giving a stronger light regimen to the plant, and you're giving it to different areas, right? Because in the canopy, it's the top of the canopy that gets the most sun, and then as you get deeper into the plant, it doesn't get the same amount of light. It gets light, but it's in the shade. So that's why plant training and manicuring your plants to remove that interior growth and just try to build the candelabra type structure out of the plant and grow just tops is beneficial.
Oh, well, I was just noticing I'm getting chubby. My arm is getting a little fat there. Compared to my hand. Anyway, it's also been proven, just a little fact here I just wanted to throw into that topic you were just saying. It's also been proven that if you play WTHC radio in with your tent, in with your flowers, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they will produce a better yield. I've heard that. Yeah.
Well, that's because they'll understand that everything they're hearing about.
Right. We're talking about weed. They're going to be like, these guys really care. These people really care. They celebrate 420 every hour. They care about us. That's what your plants are going to be thinking.
So, Corrine, do you actually drink this water? If it's killing your plants, I mean, I wouldn't want to think that you're drinking it too, because this is the one thing about the cannabis plant. It is one of the most hardy plants on the planet. It grows in so many different environments. It grows under so many different kinds of conditions. It's really hardy. It's very strong. It's a weed. It grows like a weed. It's got the strength of a weed. So it's hard to imagine that just water that is being consumed by a person could be doing that much damage to the plant, or I would suspect that it would be doing damage to you also.
Well, I mean, look at Lori. It's self-explanatory there. Look at her. She's a mess. I'm just kidding.
You can use a fish tank to aerate your water to help evaporate it off. Yes, you could. And when you create a reservoir, like when I had my ACMPR grow, my 4,000 square foot grow, we had 2,000 liter reservoirs. So they were tanks that we would fill that held 1,000 liters each. And they would be, one would be nutrient adjusted for the veg phase of our grow, and one would be nutrient adjusted for the flowering phase of our grow. But we wouldn't use that full 1,000 liters every day. In either space, we might use 200 to 300 liters of it that day. But your feeding regimen is week by week. In your veg state, you're not adjusting too much. But once you get into the flower phase, you have one level of nutrients for week 1, a new level for week 2, a new level for week 3. You're always adjusting up on your nutrients during that flower phase to give the plant the maximum the maximum food it needs, right, to be its best. So when you don't use your water, we used aquarium fish tank pumps and what they call air stones. And the air stone is just it's just exactly what it sounds like. It looks like a stone that you would find on a grinder, basically a porous rock where you push air through it and it disseminates out the air inside. So it keeps it constantly aerated, keeps the oxygen in the water and the motion so that it doesn't, your nutrients don't die. So yeah, it's an important part of the process if you're holding water. It's the same when we talked about deep water culture. Remember we talked about growing in buckets?
Yeah.
I said,
I was
it's a
contemplating doing it.
I said it's a dangerous game because if you lose power, you can lose your whole crop simply because the water doesn't stay aerated once the pump is out. And the roots need the oxygen too. So
now I like yesterday there was some severe storms and 90% of Pennsylvania lost power for quite some time. I'm sure it's coming back on now, but and other states as well. Prayers to everybody affected. But like I didn't lose power at all. I don't lose power here. We had a hurricane hit us, a pretty severe one at one point, and my house didn't lose power. It might have flickered for a half a second. Would that affect it?
well, no, it would have to shut off the pump.
I mean,
Right?
it might
It would
shut
have
it
to
off
shut
for a
off the
half a
pump that
second and
moves the
flick
water,
back
and it would have
on.
to shut off the aeration. As long as it comes back on. But if you had to go in there and manually reset it after an event like that and you forgot, or you didn't realize that the power got off long enough to trip those things,
Right,
then you
right.
can
Yeah,
lose your
I
crop.
mean, yeah,
So
I know.
once again, we're talking about
Now, with that
it's a
water
risk you take.
system,
That's
with that
you know what I
water
mean?
system
You
that
go
you're
in,
using,
keep that
with that water system that we're talking about right now currently, would the lighting still be an issue there as
deep
well,
water
or is
culture.
that you still have to have the lights and everything and all the other, or is that a different type of grow now?
Yeah. Because the plants have to have the light because
And you
light
still have to have
is
the
what
darkness,
creates
the 12
photosynthesis, and the
hours.
plant doesn't grow without it.
All right, I'm just asking. Don't yell at me.
Yeah. All those parameters say the same.
Relax.
Basically,
Don't yell at me.
basically, deep water culture is a feeding system, just like ebb and flow is a feeding system, like drip emitters are a feeding system, like hand watering from a watering can is a feeding system. It's just a different way of delivering the nutrients to the plant.
All
It
right.
just happens to be highly effective because there's no dirt, there's no medium.
I don't
The
like
roots
dirt.
are directly in the water.
I like
You know what I
water.
mean? Yeah. So
I
it's
like
just
water. I don't like dirt on my hands. You see how dirty they are? It drives me nuts.
and deep water culture, you can build your own setup pretty inexpensively.
This is
PVC pipe
this
and
is
tubs. And
marijuana ash all over my hands, you guys. I don't know if you know it. Can't get it off. It doesn't come off.
So Chris is wondering when he upgrades from a 300-watt light, would I recommend LED or HPS? If you would have asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said HPS. But the quality of LED lights that are out now are up to the level of HPS, are very, very close to it in their ability to maximize plant production. And it comes with benefits. They're expensive to buy initially, but so are HPS lights.
Yeah,
So
and the overall use, it's not a one-time use and throw them away. You're going to have them forever. I mean, as long as you take care of them.
HPS isn't the same way either. Basically, you get one ballast that'll service both metal halide and HPS. They are out there, and you can switch the bulbs, and basically you use metal halide for veg, and then you switch to HPS for flower when you use that. But the drawback of using those lights, although they are still the best way to go, they're hot, they're expensive, the bulbs burn out. When you change bulbs, if you don't have that bulb absolutely clean, if you get a little bit of oil from your fingers on there, when it heats up, it can cause the bulb to explode. So there are drawbacks to the HPS. The LED, expensive to buy in the beginning, a little more maybe than HPS, but it has a longer life. It doesn't generate the heat, so you don't have the additional problems with the environmental control. In your grow space, you're able to maintain temperatures better. And a lot of them now, you can adjust the spectrum using an app with your phone, so you can actually dial in. Some of these companies are actually smart enough that they're looking at the spectrums for specific strains and giving you programming options to change, to program that light to a specific strain that you're growing too. So they've come a long way. And I would say for an indoor grow, LED is what I would do in the future.
Couple questions real quick, but then we have a bunch that just came up.
Yeah.
That tent that you say I should buy. Now I'm currently in the process of three of them gonna go. So which tent should I buy at that size with 3 of them that I'm gonna grow indoor the whole time, so which one would you suggest?
2x2 is going to be too small. So 4x4 or 6x6. Me personally, I would want to go 6x6.
All right, 6x6 is what I'm going to look at. Now, those lights, which are they going to be? LED or are they going to be HB?
A lot of the kits, I haven't really looked seriously at Amazon because I haven't been interested in buying one for myself.
Well, we're going to look
at this point
before I make my purchase. I would like for you and I to talk about it, but
I've looked at them there, and I know that the kits are available, and a lot of them are LED. And LED is really a pretty good way to go, simply because it makes it easier to control your grow environment. You can control the heat better.
Listen, I've explained to you numerous times, as easy as possible it needs to be for me because I am special.
Yeah. But back to Oscar up here now.
Yes.
So Oscar says, looking at watts, lumens, and spectrum is important. Yeah, that is important. There's some evidence that shows that cannabis plants thrive at 25 lumens per square foot. But in the grow that I worked in, the big one here in Canada, the legal grow, for the licensed producer, we tried to work at 50 lumen a square foot. And spectrum is important because the plant requires a bit different spectrum of light to maximize its production in the vegetative phase. I think it's more, and I get these confused sometimes, so don't hold me exactly to it, but one of the cycles is the blue, more of a blue light spectrum, and I believe that's veg. And then when you switch over to your flower, you want a light spectrum that's more in the red spectrum. So that's what you want to look at. And that's one of the reasons that LEDs can be pretty nice, because you can actually, like I said, program the spectrum change when you change over from veg cycle to a flower cycle.
These guys are awesome. They're making me laugh over here. Special ed, that's what I meant. Yes. And I'm not taking any offense to it. And we're going to grow some special shit because we got the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. High here with us every day. And he's going to help us walk right through it. It's going to work. And then what I really need to do, Dr. High, is because of my location where I live in this area of the Poconos where it's colder. I really need to get my hands on somebody that has auto flowers on a regular basis so that I can just get some auto flowers, because I feel like that's going to be the best situation for me. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and they're like, autoflower was pretty new 5-6 years ago. You know, autoflowers weren't as common as they are now. But the genetics guys who've been working with these plants and developing the strains and the seed banks for them have really found it to be a pretty beneficial way to go. So I don't think it's as important anymore. You know what I mean? And the whole idea for me, I would only go from seed initially, and then I would cut clones for the next, 5, 6, 7, 8 harvests, and then go back to seed, because there's something that they call a seed vigor. And seed vigor is a plant that has started from seed will be stronger than a plant that starts from the clone. So the exact same strain, the seed will be a hardier, stronger plant than the clone will be. So that seed vigor you want to go back to every now and again to regenerate the mothers for your strains if you continue to grow the same strain for a longer period of time. Because eventually the clones just kind of weaken for some reason.
Yeah. So this one that I showed you, this beautiful, do they have like, does different strains grow differently? Like the flowers bloomed, like I feel like this one looks weird, and I'm like, is that because it's a different strain?
Well, no, sometimes some plants just take on a different appearance. Like some might have 3 leaf sets, some might have 11. Some are broadleaf, like most indicas are much more broadleaf than the sativa. That's one of the ways you can quickly identify whether it's a sativa or an indica. A lot of times is to look at the leaf, right? And that'll give you the quick indicator of which way the plant leans. Is it a sativa? Is it an indica? Or is it a sativa dominant hybrid? Or is it an indica dominant hybrid? Right? So
this is the one that was the one that this is the one that I found in the jar from the dispensary.
Yeah.
Banana pudding tine. And I'm just excited, I want to smoke it already. I got to run a commercial unless you want to you know what?
Let's run a commercial. We'll come back to Oscar's questions.
No, you know what I'm thinking? Because you said you're going to leave it at like a quarter after. I can run the commercial.
Yeah. We'll run for another 10 minutes and
do what you got to do. Answer these questions, and we'll run the commercial after. Yeah, and when you leave.
Light distance, do no bleaching or stretching. Yeah. The major consideration for light distance is temperature. You'd like to keep your lights 12 inches above your plants if possible. But when you use metal halide or high pressure sodium, that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do because those plants emit a lot of heat. So it's easier to stick with that regimen when you're going with LED. I wanted to ask you, your KLD or your KLG light, I'm not familiar with that. Is that a brand? Is it LED or is it high pressure sodium or metal halide?
Oscar, it's absolutely amazing. We were just going to thank you at the end of the show, and everybody. The questions have been awesome.
Yeah, no, this is the way we want the show to be. So ask as many questions as you want. That's for sure. So that's the first consideration when you're talking about light distance is the heat, right? And it's the heat that causes the bleaching on the leaves. Now, when the lights are too far away from the plant, it causes the stretching. So it's the two things that you're talking about. Okay, so it's an LED. Perfect. Are two opposite sides of that spectrum. Bleaching occurs when you have too much heat and your lamp is too close to the light. Stretching occurs when your plant is too far away from the light. So that makes the internodal length, the length between branching sites, wider or longer, further away. And then when you start to form your buds, the buds won't all stack the same way because buds form at the crotch between the branch and the stem, right? This is where the bud starts to form.
He said crotch.
Or not the crotch, at the
he didn't mean crotch. He's thinking about crotch.
Yeah, so you really want them to be super tight, and that's why you want to maintain an internodal length or a length between branching sites of about 1 inch if possible. If you can keep that down to 1 inch, you should stack your buds really, really nice during the flowering phase, especially when they start to swell for that last 2-week period. So you get those nice, dense, tight buds instead of open, light, airy ones. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So, like when I've seen our friend Lori's plant, and you've seen Lori's plant. Hers has been kind of being growing outdoors, like that light. So is that why hers is so tall with such spaces in between her branches? Is that what you're saying? So that when I have this in a room enclosed in a tent, I'm going to be able to adjust that light, and then it'll grow another branch. I'll adjust it a little more. Some more branches will grow.
It's gonna look a lot more like Chris sent me
A
pictures.
shrub, a shrubbery.
Chris sent me some pictures of his plant yesterday,
Yeah.
which I looked at, and that was one of the things I commented on was the internodal length was excellent. The plant was tight, squat, very, very nice. He had the light set to a good height. His temperature reflects that the plant is safe at that.
Shout out to Chris. Woohoo!
And that's fantastic. That's what it should be. That's what you want to see from your plant.
Now, Lori's isn't bad. It's not a bad thing that it's like that. It's just going to be more work, right? Because it's going to take more energy to get all the nutrients and everything up to those trees and those plants, those bushes.
It's just that the plant.
Don't listen to me.
No, it's just that the plant stretches because it's trying to reach the light, right? It wants to get as close to the light as possible. So really, where that is reflected is in your flowers at the end. So a plant that's lean and stretched like that, the flowers won't be tight, dense nuggets. They'll be more airy, more open, more loose.
That's how mine was.
Yeah, because the plant stretches outside.
Yeah,
but
we put them out.
Can't control it outside. Now, when you get into your flower phase, you hope that it's going to dense up. But the buds are never going to be those hard little nuggets.
Yeah, these were loose, like little nuggets, but loose, very sticky, very terpene-ish.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can be done outdoors, but usually the best buds on outdoor plants are plants that are really big plants. You know what I mean? Really big
like those 8-10 foot tree, more like those, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. We had other questions though. Doc, do you grow in soil or have you tried the aquaponics?
I haven't used aquaponics, but I've grown in soil and I've grown with hydroponics. Aquaponics is a little bit different. Aquaponics is what we're talking about with deep water culture, because aquaponics is solely a water medium. That's the medium your plants are in. That's where you have a basket that holds the plant, and the roots go through the basket and are immersed into water all the time. So that's what aquaponics, or it can be a spray also. Some of these aquaponic systems use a mist system. So your roots hang underneath and there are little spray jets that spray the nutrients at timed intervals onto those roots so they can absorb it. So that would be aeroponics. Hydroponics is when you grow in something like anything outside of dirt. So you could grow in clay balls. You could grow in rock wool. You could grow in cocoa. So there are different mediums.
Hot cocoa?
Well, no, it's cocoa coir. It's the hair from the coconuts. Oh. So all that hair from the coconut is a good growing medium. You can grow in sphagnum moss. There are different mediums you can use that are soil-less, but actually is what holds the roots and where the base of the roots
grow. In psilocybin?
No.
No. Damn it.
No.
I thought
hydroponics is a great way to grow because unless you're controlling your soil, like
is there a difference in taste?
Yeah, there can be.
Because Oscar just said he personally prefers the taste of soil grown. I wouldn't know the difference. I mean, is that the stuff that I say, man, I want stuff that tastes like goddamn weed and not goddamn berries?
No, it's just more earthy, and for some reason, especially when you grow organically, when you use stuff like bat guano and different teas, like a fish tea and natural composted products and that. The plant just really loves them. And what it does is it really engages the terpene development and the flavonoid development and the cannabinoid development more so in dirt for some reason than in a hydroponic, aquaponic, aeroponic.
But then remember when hydroponics came out, it was such good weed, man. Remember, I was like, damn, this is some shit, man. I was paying $50 for like a nugget. Why that? Why was it so good?
Well, it was new, right? when you first saw it, it was new. So it was the newest thing on the market was the hydro, right? And that's
Oh
that's
yeah,
why
it was amazing. Yeah, $20 a gram, no, $40 a gram. Yeah,
especially there was very few people that were doing it at the beginning.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know why it went away.
It's the old thing of supply and demand. When demand is greater than supply, price goes up. When supply is greater than demand, price goes down. Simple like that. Really, it is.
What other questions?
Used rock wool, exactly.
Have you ever cloned your plants, Dr. High?
Oh, I've sat down and cut 1,400 clones in a day. I have sold, I don't even know how many thousands and thousands of clones. I have cut clones. If I haven't cut 200,000 clones in my life, I'd be shocked.
Well, so we're going to teach people how to do cloning in the near future because some of us are going to be coming up on that really soon, right? Or already there.
Yeah, cloning's really efficient. I saw from Oscar up earlier talking about the taproot on the clones. Where was it? Okay, clones don't have a taproot. No, they don't have a taproot. Clones don't, because basically what you're doing is you're going to count down on a branch 3 leaf sets. So you're going to have your top of the branch, then you'll have your first leaf set that comes out, which is a branching site. You'll have your second leaf set that comes out. You'll go about 1.5 inches below that, and you want to cut as cleanly as possible. We used to use scalpels
on an angle
or really good scissors. Yeah, on a 45-degree angle. Then you have a rooting gel, a cloning gel, and a rooting powder. So when you cut the clone, you dip the clone into the gel first, then into the rooting powder, and then we used to put them into small rock wool cubes in a tray.
Quick question.
You just slip them right into the hole.
Who is said Facebook user here that keeps commenting? I need to know who that is. Is that the same person that said about the tents? Is that the same person that said, have you ever cloned your plants? Yeah, that's what I need to know. Who are you?
I do not know. So yeah, that's the clone and the seed thing there. Going to cut all your hair, Lori? Why are you going to cut all your hair?
She's coloring and cutting it all off, or cutting it all off. Is that what it's
like? Hydro, no soil at all. Exactly.
We used to use ice trays, Lori says.
Oh, to hold the blocks for the clone. Yeah, you could do that.
I didn't know Lori was a professional.
There are so many different ways that you can put your clone, when you cut your clones. But that's a nice thing, right? From one good plant, you can cut 100 clones every 2 weeks. So, yeah. And clones, funnily enough, when I had that medical garden, the 600 plant garden, we were able to sell clones at $5 each. And those we were cutting from the plant anyway. As we maintained the plants and pruned them properly, we would just take those cuttings that were appropriate, turn them into clones, and get them rooted. 2 weeks out the door, 2 weeks out the door, 2 weeks out the door. I mean, every time we sent out the door, it was $5,000.
You Facebook user, who are you? Identify yourself.
So cloning is a pretty good business if you have a place if you have good genetics and you have an outlet for the clones. Cloning could be a better business than actually growing to the final. Yeah, cocoa verm, optional gypsum. Yeah, gypsum has, I think, a relationship to pHing your medium. It helps keep the pH proper. 20 gram hydroponic weed is awesome. Yes, my ex was a grower. Root grow. Yes. Yeah, cloning is just cloning. Yeah, there you go. Clonex rooting gel. Exactly. I mean, cloning is just efficient.
Tina, we hope you have a great day too. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tina. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
We're here for you. When you're ready, we're going to help you all the way through the process.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about clones, right? If you find, like, we used to do what we called our pheno hunting, right? So we would plant 25 seeds of the strain, and we would grow them. And then we would monitor the plant the individual plants, right? We would number 1 to 25, and we would watch the development of the plant. And then once we got it to the point where we'd be flipping it to flower, we would take the strongest, let's say, 3 to 5 plants out of that 25 plant group. And those would go into a mother room. We'd flower out the other ones, but we would keep those hardiest, strongest, best genetically, you know what I mean? Like we keep the Adonis of the plant. We keep the Miss Universe of the plant. That would be the one we'd want. And that's where we would cut our clones. So when you use clones, you're duplicating the exact plant over and over and over and over again. So you maintain those high quality traits that are within the genetic. When you go from seed, even though it's the same strain, you could get 6 or 7 variations within that strain from those seeds. So, and you could have males, you could have females, you could have a combination, you could have all different variations, right? So clones are predictable. And when you're growing on a schedule, because we wouldn't want to have a room sit empty for a week, right? Between harvest and the next crop going in, we want to harvest, sanitize the room, bring the crop in, right? The next crop starts the following day into its flower phase. Very, very hard to do with seeds to maintain the timing that you can maintain with clones. Clones allow you to control your timing and control the movement within your garden better than seeds do. So that's why clones are used really more in a big operation.
Oscar asks, rooting gel really isn't even necessary, true or false?
It kind of seals the damage. A plant can take some abuse, right? A large plant could take somebody maybe walking by and breaking a branch.
I told you I've seen people use like Scotch tape and tape a branch back together and hold it together.
They can survive that once they reach a certain point. But clones are very,
a bigger plant, yes, obviously.
They're really delicate. And what you're doing with that rooting gel, there are hormones in that stimulate root growth, the first thing. But secondly, you're sealing it out from the oxygen. And it's like a Band-Aid on a wound, right? It's like using something on your own wound, polysporin or something like that, to protect that clone and give it enough time. Because that clone roots for, like, before it really roots through the cube, you're 2 weeks, 3 weeks before those roots really start coming through the cube. So it takes a few days. I couldn't tell you exactly because I wouldn't know how long it takes until the roots pop through the cube, because we weren't pulling the clones out to check what was going on, right? So I can't tell what's going on inside the cube, but I know how long it takes for the roots to become visible. So between using the rooting gel and then the powders, the hormones, the stimulation powders, which is like mycorrhizae.
So I mean, overall, it would be beneficial.
Yeah, like we lost very few clones. If we cut 1,000 clones, we were able to put 960, 970 into a garden. Some just wouldn't thrive, right? Some they just wouldn't. But happens. We had a really high success rate with cloning. And that's because you follow the proper procedure. You make your cuts right, super sharp scissors or a scalpel, rooting gel, the powder, the hormone powders, and and then the right environment afterwards, domed, a lot of high humidity. So
heat, yeah,
and warmth.
Warmth, yeah, warmth, yeah. Well, I got to do a commercial. You were going to be out of here 8 minutes ago, and we're already late to that. I want to give a big shout out to everybody that was here today. You guys were amazing.
It was a great day.
The questions were amazing. Even the question, say you ask a question, it could lead to something else, which leads to something else, which leads to something else.
That's exactly how.
Which helps somebody along the whole way. It's just amazing. And we got over 1 million topics today, and it was great. It was an awesome show. I can't thank you guys enough, everybody here on YouTube and Facebook. If you have a YouTube and you've been here on Facebook, please go over to the YouTube and give us a follow and a subscribe and a like over there. We're on our way to 1 million. Dr. Highs has got 1 follower. We are at 83, I think. We're almost to 1 million. So we want to get up to 1 million. So we're on our way. We're flying, but we got to keep it going. I want to thank everybody out there on Live 365 and tune in for chilling out and listening to us. Everybody out there on Spotify, when you see this in a couple days, you guys, thank you so much. Anything else, Dr. High? What do you want to say?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for spending time with us today. Oscar, your questions are great. Come back anytime. Ask as many as you want. It's absolutely a pleasure to get into it. Share your thoughts with us, what you think, your experiences with your own grows. And that goes for everybody out there. I mean,
did we missed a question from somebody. I wanted to it was about our buddy with the indoor in a safe, remember?
Oh, well, yeah, the same is okay if you control your environment. It's all about controlled environments, right? When you're indoor growing, you just want to be able to control your environment. That's what makes a harvest successful. Just being able to control the environment all the way through.
Yeah. All right. I got to run a commercial. Dr. High, have a fantastic day. We are here every day, 10 a.m. on the East Coast. That's 9 Central, 8 Mountain, and 7 a.m. in the morning over there, waking and baking with DaHippie and Doktor High over there on the West Coast. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
Have a great day, everybody. Peace.
Okay, man. This is your time.
All right,
Maybe
buddy.
you
See you
didn't
later.
choose this,
Thank you.
But you're here now. You're going to go out there.